So a couple nights ago, Miss Alexa here, we had an interesting conversation where she asked me some questions around, would you have dated me if I was this way? And it brought up the conversation of deal breakers and deal makers. And if you hear a freight train in the background, it is Biggie James Smalls. We're at a park and he's been wreaking havoc around this place, chasing gooses and kitties. Anywho, besides the point. She specifically said things like, if I were a smoker or if nutrition wasn't important to me, would you still have dated me? And I was actually a bit torn. I wasn't sure, because on the one hand, it's like, no, of course not. If you're a smoker, I would not date you. And nutrition is important to me, so of course not. But then I also thought about, well, what about like I can't help how I feel, right? If I'm attracted to you and I feel that strong attraction to you, then that is what it is, and I'm gonna honor that. However, on the flip side of it, I've heard the practice of calling in your partner, right? Mm-hmm. And what a lot of people will do in that context is write down the deal makers and deal breakers. I've heard you talk about this too.
Right. I just did the 5-day free event. It was the 5 days soulmate manifestation, calling the sex and love of your dreams. The last day was authenticity in general, but specifically, if you're looking to call in someone into your life, what are your boundaries and what are your deal makers or breakers? Because you might think, okay, I'm gonna choose to be okay and someone will just show up and I'll let myself feel how I feel and see how it goes. But some of those things that you would choose to be a deal breakers that you say never mind to, they may not be a deal breaker right at the beginning.
There it is.
But they surely come up later and they might break it apart later.
Yeah, you just nailed it. And to me, this is like the same umbrella and category of being proactive versus reactive. So somebody that's reactive, it's life is happening to me instead of for me. It's a bit of like a victim place. It's just like flowing through and just letting whatever happens. And to some degree, that philosophy can be powerful. But I like to think of myself as like the creator of my own destiny and making my own fate. And so from that place, calling in a life partner, somebody who I'm gonna like love, cherish, and have a lot of amazing experiences with, I'm not gonna leave that up to chance, so to speak. Right. Obviously there's some amazing, inexplainable chance involved. It's beautiful, and I honor that flow. And at the same time, coupled with intentionality and clarity, that's like a powerful duo. What do you think?
Look at this butterfly.
Whoa! The butterfly is honoring our conversation in this moment.
Yes, it is. I love butterflies. So if you didn't embrace my love for butterflies,
oh yeah, clearly
deal breaker. No, that's the thing. Like, this is my life. I'm having this experience. I get one time, but lots of ebbs and flows to do it. Mm-hmm. Thank you. But the thing is, like, yes, I might have a connection with someone who, for me, a deal breaker is a smoker. I've had a relationship with a person who smoked, and I thought, this is what I thought at the time was, oh, he smokes. Okay, but all these other boxes are checked, and so I can deal with that aspect. And so as time progressed, I realized that I was left alone a lot while he was going to have a cigarette, and then that cigarette would turn into a conversation with another smoker, which would turn into another cigarette, and I was left alone a lot. And that did snowball, and then there would be he left something in the wrong place, and everything I felt for all the times where I was annoyed by the smoking showed up right in that moment. And so, yeah, it was not a deal breaker at the time when we decided to be together, but it was something that definitely caused a rift in the future. So the thing was, like, if I am honest with myself, is that a deal breaker? The answer is yes. So I might have made a connection with you, and if that was something that was a part of your life.
Big man, what's a deal breaker and deal maker for you? Oh, I just covered my entire face. He says, deal makers are bodies of water for me to swim in. Deal breakers are not allowing me on the bed. No snuggles.
Did he slobber on you?
He did, fully. Yep. Oh yeah, I got properly goobed up.
Thanks.
And
yeah, so that rounds it out. So the thing is, if I'm gonna do this again, that I will maybe have a connection with someone who is maybe a smoker, but I will say, beautiful. I'm built for connection. I am a human, and humans love love, and humans love connection. So honor and acknowledge that connection, and honor and acknowledge that human. I say, okay, but this is not a person that I'm going to choose to do any part of my life as a partner.
And a couple more things to this point. So I remember you telling me, I think you're gonna smack my ass.
No,
You can do it.
I was gonna.
Do like, oh! She was telling me how right as we started connecting, she had just done this practice or something similar to this, right? Like writing down.
I journaled.
You journaled like
I journaled.
your ideal partner and like
Yeah.
deal breakers and deal makers.
What I'm
something
prepared
like that.
to give.
Yep.
What I am available for.
And didn't you post that on Facebook?
I did.
And I saw that and I was like floored by it.
Yeah,
It was so
I did.
humble, but like direct
Real.
and clear and real. And
It was
like,
bridge.
your voice was so beautifully channeled. That was like
Thank
one
you.
of the many things I saw of you where I was like, oh, this chick gets it.
It was. I like the bridge.
Yep.
The gray area. Granted, now that we've spent a lot of time together, I know that you and the misfits like to be that bridge, but you also have experienced like this or that, and I've watched you play in the gray a little bit. I embrace the gray as much as I can. So I think even whenever I decided to put that out, I wanted to sprinkle at least 1 foot. I'll use this analogy: 1 foot on the ground, but my head completely in the clouds.
Ah, that's a great analogy. I love that.
Yeah. So that the gray area, it's like, you know, have my middle name be ambiguous or something like that. But I've never wanted to like literally copy and paste what I journaled in my manifestation practice onto social media, and I did. And I remember it was like when you commented on it, I was like, of course you did. Of course. Like saw the pop, I was like, yeah, you did. Anyway.
And so another thing I experienced just yesterday, I think, I was on a coaching call with someone and she was expressing how she had just met someone. And what's cool is she had literally that day that she met this person had done this practice of deal makers and deal breakers. And she was sharing how all these stories were flooding in around this person and like insecurities and uncertainties and all this. And one of them was that she's from Colombia, and so all their family speaks Spanish, and many of them only speak Spanish. And so she was concerned that, like, you know, if this were to go well and get serious and they went to Colombia to visit her family, that he would not be able to communicate with them, and it would be like an awkward, uncomfortable conversation and just like experience. And so I held the space for her to fully express herself, and then I said to her, I was like, okay, so this, and there were some other things she said. And I could tell as she was speaking them out loud to me, she could, and this is a powerful practice, speaking things out loud rather than just letting the stories run in your head, having like a mirror reflection, whether it's a coach, a loved one, a partner, just depending on the context, it brings to light what you're thinking in a different way when you speak it out loud. And I could tell that she was like, kind of feeling like, oh, this is kind of ridiculous, huh?
And do I mean it?
Yeah, exactly.
And if I say it, then so it is.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
a deep realization, like, am I really ready to admit that to myself and the world?
Yep.
Am I ready? And with your word, polarizing, getting that clear, it's extremely polarizing. There's 7 billion people in the world. You can't date them all. Oh, big man.
Don't do it.
Don't do it.
Gonna knock over the tripod. Come here, buddy. Come here.
Waiting.
Sit. Good boy.
Good boy.
Little freight train.
But yeah, that word, polarizing it. You want to attract what you really want. What's
That's
going to
exactly
make you?
what I was telling her too.
To create the best possible. I mean, there's factors of you don't know what you don't know in relationships and in life in general, but the things that you do know, let them be.
Yep.
Yeah.
And the last thing I'll say about this is, as she spoke that out loud, I didn't have to say very much. I think an aspect of good coaching is asking great questions and holding space. Yeah. And holding space. Yeah, I mean, and I would classify myself as a professional space holder. I mean, I can hang with the best of them. According to Good Energy, you're reporting for duty.
I'm a creator of the space.
You are. And so to that point, I just like asked her, I was like, well, is that a deal breaker for you if he doesn't speak Spanish? And she's like, no. She's like, you know, the 1 week out of the year that I go visit him, that I go visit my family, it would be an issue. And so through that experience with her, she like processed that, okay, this is me just being in my head instead of in my heart.
Right.
This is me rationalizing things that are irrational in a sense and creating stories and things that don't really serve me because the underlying fear may be that I'm afraid of heartbreak or that this won't go the way I want, and maybe I want to find something in the beginning that's going to like sabotage it so I don't have to go through that experience,
that makes
or whatever
it easy
it
for
is.
me to walk away if
Exactly.
he shows signs of him not wanting to stick around. But also I would say saying it out loud like that is a nice, like I've said it, and so it is a reminder moving forward that she's chosen to not let that riff come about. So if it's not stated and it's kind of left to chance and wishy-washy, it can fester in there. So I've decided, no, actually it's not going to make that big of a deal. So constant reminder, but I've already made the decision. I've already made it, because humans we like consistency.
We do. I think it's programmed biologically to some degree. So what are your deal breakers and deal makers? Literally write them down. Do this activity with like a friend or somebody that you really respect, or maybe a friend who's looking for a partner as well. It could be a fun way to connect on that level. And they're going to shift potentially. You may have an experience with somebody that you didn't realize was a deal maker or breaker, and then you realize it in that relationship. That's a beautiful thing about relationships, is it's a mirror reflection, and you experience things within the context of that intimacy that you couldn't otherwise experience. I used to like kid myself into thinking that, I can do it all on my own, and like I know it all in a sense, and I'm in personal development. I go to all of the retreats and read the books and do the practices and all that, and I live with my older brother and best friend. The three of us are the Mystic Misfits, and we are like great at communicating and processing stuff, but there's something about this beautiful lady specifically, to my left, your right, this is her good side. They're both your good side, but this
I
is
just
the side
have way
she
too much
prefers.
hair over here. Look at that. Look at what if I look. That's what they would see.
Besides the point, there's something about you that brings out the best and potentially what I might have called in the past the worst parts about me, that it gives me the opportunity to have that experience with you and to like shine a light on those darker parts, that small self, as I like to say.
When you shine a light there, then the light that already existed shines brighter.
Come on.
There
Come on, girl. Channel it. Preach it.
No, I love that.
Yeah,
I love
I
that
love you.
because thank you. I love you too. I always say thank you. I'm like, I'm grateful for that first, and then I love you too. Somebody called me out on that. They're like, how come every time he says I love you, she says thank you? I'm like, but first I'm first I'm grateful, and then I'm like, well, I love you too. Like I still get excited about it. I hope I always am excited about it, and I hope I always am grateful. Yeah, but I am conscious about how I choose to point out things that you may perceive as you're smaller, or how you may perceive, because I don't want to assume your feelings for you.
I appreciate that.
So I know, and I
me to my experience.
right. But I mean, how many people have you experienced in your life, especially in romantic relationships, that haven't done that, or you haven't experienced yet? And I mean, I think about how I would like to be approached as well. And you asked me before we were doing this live stream, I was like, let's just do it on yours, because I don't know what we're going to talk about, but I think maybe the next time is how I reminded you of staying on track.
That was beautiful.
That was a really good moment, so much so that I had to get on the phone like the next day and tell somebody about it. I was like, I just had this breakthrough, and it was great, I'm going to do it again. You should do it. Breakthrough. Buzzwords.
So real quickly, what she was just describing is I had a very important project that's been on my heart and mind for a while. It's doing this video that I think is going to be very impactful,
and Steph Gold is
very
with
funny. Steph knows about it. Yeah, she's in the Misfit Academy, our group coaching program, and I've shared this with the group many times. And it's been something for like 6 months that I've been wanting to do, and for whatever reason, I've been doing the urgent things instead of the important things in my life, oftentimes. And this one specific little teaser, it's going to be about men masturbating to porn. And I think that's a sleeper pandemic of sorts that I'm going to shine a little bit of light on from both my personal experience and from others who I've talked to about this kind of thing. So anyways, I was doing some sort of fucking spreadsheet that was like unimportant, it was something that didn't really require my best attention at that time. And I had stated my intentions to her around this specific project.
It was the reason why we went home early in that day too.
Yeah, and she came up to me and she said, Are you working on the thing that's most important to you right now, or something like that?
It was. I remember the energy. I could feel it from the other room. I was on a call. So the energy was, I could feel that there was a struggle of some sort. And I remember I got off the call and I struggled. I was like, how do I remind him of what he's here to do, of why we came home early, of what he really wants. What he told me that if he leaves and he doesn't do, he's going to be upset with himself. But how do I do that in a way that isn't going to cause a struggle or emasculate?
It's coming from a place of love,
essentially,
totally.
by me stepping in, going, you're not doing that thing that you said that you were going to do. Show up. But I went up
And that's
to
a
you.
badass bitch that I want by my side. Yeah,
But
I
I
said
got
that.
it.
I'd
But
say
there
again.
was a more tact. I'd never done it this way with a person. I kissed down your neck and I wrapped my arms around you. And I said, "Are you doing what you really, really want to be doing right now?"
Yeah, totally. And it was so beautiful, and it just like snapped me back into my purpose. And I think that that's, to round it out with what you said, it's like, are you doing what you're meant to do? And she said it in like that context specifically, but it's so much bigger than that. Am I doing what I am meant to do? Like why I believe I was created, my divine purpose, and I wasn't. And she like checked me back into that, and it was freaking wonderful.
But
Thank
also,
you.
You're welcome. But I also gave room, and I told myself before that should he choose not, that's
Yeah,
okay too.
totally.
That I had no attachment to the outcome. I knew what I was supporting you with. I knew what would essentially have you be the happiest because of what you'd said previously. But I knew that should you not have chosen it, was still going to support you regardless. So.
Yeah.
It's a choices.
So what are your deal breakers and deal makers? And I'm actually give you, for anybody who's like calling in a partner and is maybe going on dates and wants to do this in a way that feels like intentional, fun, comfortable, polarizing, really speeding things up to attract what you want more quickly and repel things you don't want equally as quickly.
I love your hand motions.
Don't you? Yes. I'm
You
very
feel like
expressive
Dragon
with
Ball
mine.
Z.
So something that I told this lady that I was coaching is one you could do is eye gazing, a minute of eye gazing, just like connecting with the eyes. That might be a bit intense for a first date, especially if you're a woman trying to lead
talking
that.
about? You
But
did
something to
that
think
with
about.
me
I did.
first
I think a man leading that
on
can be good.
FaceTime.
I did. Yeah,
It was like, "Hi, I'm Jordan. Want to stare into my left eye with your left eye on FaceTime?"
and it worked. Here she is. Got her.
I'm trapped. SOS.
So that's one, and another.
Help.
SOS, you're SOL, shit out of luck. Get back here. So the other one though that I recommended her specifically to do is something I don't want you to know about me, and if you knew me really well, you would know this. And so like a 1 minute timer, because I'm a big fan of creative constraints. Shout out to Daniel Eisenman, one of my good friends and mentors who really has empowered me, inspired me to do that in a lot of aspects of my life. But doing a 1 minute practice for each person, again, this is great for a first date. Instead of all the small talk nonsense, let's cut through all the bullshit and share our most vulnerable sides of us and the things we're most proud of, because that's polarity, the opposite, so to speak, but that's all part of the same spectrum. And so 1 minute, something I don't want you to know about me is, if you knew me really well, you'd know this. Try that. Anything else?
I don't think so.
I
think
feel
that
complete.
was enough. I think that was enough.
Awesome. All right, big man, say goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Oh
What happened?
no! This is our last Facebook Live for a while.
Oh, it is, yeah.
Unless you invite me as a friend.
Oh, yeah, we could do that. That'd be fun.
Never
Yeah.
mind. We can do that. That'd be
We'll
fun.
do that.
Just like
Yeah, we're not going to see each other for like 3.5
He's
weeks right
leaving
now.
in a couple
So
of in a couple
we'll keep you
of
posted on how
hours.
that goes. Goodbye. Happy day to you.